What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're out on the R3, and this is the first ride since I've rebuilt this bike from low siding it at Virginia International Raceway at the south course of Virginia International Raceway. So I haven't honestly ridden this bike or really run this bike at all. All I did was I took all the fairings off. I glued them back together with basically a Loctite super glue, and then I put them back together. I cleaned out the air filter so we were ready to go again, and so we'll pull over and look really quick at what these fairings look like, all super glued back together. It feels good to be back on this bike. I've kind of missed it. I'm trying to be gentle on it and make it, you know, last for a long time, get the most out of these tires and stuff at the track. So anyway, we kind of brushed up here. As you can see, I had a lot of zip ties holding everything back together, but when I super glued this back together, it really held well. So you can see a seam here where I super glued, it's all better. Super glued the crack that split there, and then all this I just sanded down and repainted. I know I didn't do a great job of it. Kind of wish I'd spend more time sanding that. Here it doesn't look perfect, obviously. I'll probably get new fairings for this at some point. And then back here you can see that that headlight has 4 mounts for it that holds it to this front, and the whole thing was super loose, and when I went down the track after zip tying it back together, the whole front of this was shaking, but now it doesn't. So it's on its side stand, so it's going to move a little bit, but it's much more stable. We'll get this up to speed and look at it. I also changed the coolant out on it. The coolant looked pretty good, but whatever. We had all the fairings off, so might as well change out the coolant at the same time. So first ride back on the R3. Just shaking down the R3, making sure it feels good. Since we low side at VIR about halfway through the day on our track day, we zip tied it back together and kept going. So I think one of the videos I might have posted of that track day was actually from like after it was put back together. But this whole front head was shaking. All 4 of the mounting bolts for the headlight assembly and this whole front fairing thing had kind of snapped. So they were holding on from each other, but they weren't holding on to the frame at the front. They were kind of holding on through this, you know, stuff on the side. So just wanted to get out, make sure we don't have tons of vibration, make sure we're going to be good. Because we're doing VIR North Course next weekend, so gotta make sure everything feels good, replace what we gotta replace. I have new grips and stuff. I might try to run one last track down these grips. I don't know. I should probably just replace a lot of this stuff, but whatever. We got a new tire, a new front tire on order. So I talked about tire width series on the R3 and how big of a deal people make of it. I've been running the same tire width series. So that's a 120, like 1770, whatever it is on the front, like an up spec one versus the stock tire size, which is a 110. And then on the back I've been running, I think, a 150 instead of a 140 or 130 or whatever it is the stock R3 size. So I've been using wider tires, and that's because the previous owner had been using wider tires, and he was also using Pirelli Diablo Rosso 2s. So I'm moving to Diablo Rosso 4s because that's the new version of them, basically. I was thinking about doing like a Corsa or something like that, because I was like, you know, I kind of ride this on the racetrack, maybe I should, but I don't run tire warmers, and I will also go like peak summer heat and also kind of in the fall when it's not so hot. So I wasn't really sure exactly what kind of, you know, tires to get, so I thought I'll get the 4s, start cheap. If I really think that my tires are a problem, I can always spend more money and get more. but you know, we don't need to chase problems that are non-existent. So that's where we stand right now with this. It feels good. It feels really solid. I was kind of worried because I'd banged up the axle bolts on each one a little bit, so I wasn't sure, like, you know, how that would be. Man, I've been riding the F-07 so much, and I gotta say, like, I love the F-07, but there's something still wonderful about the R3. Like, I always think, like, as a mental exercise where it's like, oh, I would totally sell my F-Zero or my R3, and, you know, if I could only have one bike, I'd do the F-07. But man, there's something about having a little bit taller gearing. The F-07 just, it's a little bit short gearing for me, and I think I'd just love to have, like, maybe go down one tooth on the sprocket in the rear. I'm not sure. I love the gearing of the R9. I like the gearing of this bike a little bit, how it's more like, it's a little bit taller of gearing. I just appreciate it a little bit more. Yeah, she's running really well. New air filter change with the K&N. Cleaned it out. New coolant. I'm just making sure. Part of this ride is just making sure that I don't overheat, because I know sometimes people do the coolant exchange all wrong and get air bubbles in it or something. So just making sure none of that's wrong. And then we'll put her away and pull her out next weekend to go to the track. One of the really nice things about using this bike on the racetrack, though, is the consumable parts are so much cheaper. I mean, to go, like, back to these tires, I'm going back to the original Width Series tires, right? And the front tire is under 150 bucks for a Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4, which is a pretty decent tire. I think it was like $142 I paid. And then the rear tire is a little bit closer to 200. But I mean, it saves you so much money versus if I was on like an R6 or anything running these really like wide series tires, where it's like, oh, I'm putting down so much power that I'm kind of nervous, where like, oh, am I gonna have traction? I need to really pay for the premium option. And you know, this is just so nice. I mean, I don't even know how many track days I've had on this. I've done at least 3 track days in several years of riding on these front, like, kind of racing brake pads. Totally fine. I change my brake fluid every year or two and never had a problem with brake fade. And it's just like, yeah, I'm stopping less weight, it's less pads, less discs, less friction. So I'll probably get at least like 1 more track day out of these brake pads before I even have to think about changing them. I did order some spares just so I'd have them, but man, it really is just nice. And whenever I think about upgrading, it's just so hard to like be like, yeah, but I'm gonna really like at least double probably my cost of going to the racetrack, where it's like, would I rather go to the racetrack more, or would I rather have a faster bike but go less? And I think the answer is I'd rather go more and be on this bike rather than go more often and you know, not be able to afford or feel bad for how much I'm spending because I'm just wearing through stuff so much. And I'd also be crashing worse. So if I crashed on the other bike, it would have been a little bit worse, you know. Going through the corners, you can only go through the corners so fast, but it would have been a heavier bike falling on me and stuff. So that does all add up. But yeah, she's running really well. Really excited. I'll post a video. I'll try to record some laps going around VIR next weekend. But yeah, R3, she's all back together. She's super minty right now. Not really. She's not so minty. She's been more minty before she had super glued together fairings. But she was back together for pretty much $0, which is pretty sweet. So anyway, you all ride safe, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.